Hello, welcome back to Data Leaps. Today we are talking about potential next roles for a solution architect. The reason that I'm making this video is because I've had several conversations with my coworkers and mentees, and a lot of people think that solution architect is quote unquote top of a pyramid as an IC because you've worked as, consultant, the engineer, data scientist, this and that, and then you eventually landed in the solution architect role. And you've been doing this role for a number of years. You are at a really high level with this role. If you work for a good vendor, you're paid a lot as an IC. So where do you go next is the million-dollar question. So I'm making this video to show here are the potential exit routes that you can have as a solution architect. These are observations from what I've seen over the years, where my friends and my coworkers has done, and this is by no means an exhaustive list. So if you have other ideas on what a solution architect could exit to do, please comment to let me know. So first of all, the easy answer is you can change roles within this domain. So if you're a solution architect as pre-sales, you can potentially go to post-sales as a RSA, or you can potentially be a SME as a specialist solution architect. These roles are relatively similar. Technically, it's easier to go from a SA to SSA rather than RSA because you've been focusing on pre-sales. Unless you come from an implementation background, very few people jump directly from SA to RSA. Vice versa, RSA is typically focused on implementation. It's easier for them to go to like a SME specialist SA role rather than a pre-sales SA role. But these three roles are potentially related and interchangeable depending on your background and your skill set. The next thing you can do is to become a manager. Many of my friends have gone to that route. They hit the ceiling in terms of the level they can reach as an IC, as a solution architect. In order to get promoted, they became a manager, and that's a perfectly viable route if that's something you want to do. Again, this comes down to your aspiration, whether you want to be a people manager, if you like coaching, developing people, so on and so forth. It also depends on the organization you're in. Climbing the corporate ladder might be easier or harder, depending on the culture and location and organization. The third route is sales. Now, I have SA friends who actually left the field engineering organization and become an AE. If you come from a pre-sales background, to become an AE is not that hard. Like everybody has the pre-sales skills. But you have to make peace with the fact that you will do less technical work as an AE. Virtually, you will do no technical work as an AE, but you might make a lot more money if you're really good AE or if you're on a really good account. So that's a trade-off between potential like financial gain versus potential loss of technical expertise. Next route is product. Now, there are different roles in product you can potentially go to. One is PM. So companies like Microsoft use program manager rather loosely. There are a lot of different types of PM you can be. The easiest, kind of closest role for field engineering or solution architect to go to is the CAT team, so customer advisory team. And what you can do is basically be a PM on the CAT team and then be the bridge between product and field and be an expert in a certain area of the product. The second PM, you can be a feature-owning PM. So very few organizations will hire feature-owning PMs with no previous experience as PMs or no previous experience in product. So coming from the same company might help you actually get that role. Some companies still don't hire people with no previous experience as feature-owning PMs, even if the candidate come from the same organization. So you want to think about whether feature-owning PM is something you want to do or not, and then whether your experience or expertise will fit that role. And the third role in product is DevRel, so developer relations. Someone like Danny Lee or Holly Smith from Databricks, a very typical example of very good DevRel persona. They can explain a very complex technology with very simple language or demos, and they have a very charming personality. So you want to be the kind of person that appear to a large group of developers and basically be able to build a community and a following using your own expertise as well as personality. The next several routes all relate to one theme, which is consultancy. So you can potentially join a consultancy and be a consultant. If you come from a vendor to a consultancy, and depending on the vendor, typically you get a nice pay bump and a nice level jump. If you go from like Microsoft to somewhere like the Big Four or boutique consultancy, and you will be embedded in a customer and do implementation work. And the next route is basically related to that. These consultancies will charge the customer a few £1,000 depending on your level per day. They don't pay you a few £1,000 per day. So what you can do is you can be a contractor and still work for the client, but don't charge as much as a consultancy will charge. Obviously, consultancy will absorb all the risks or the admin work. If you are to be a contractor, you're going to have to do all of that yourself. The insurance, the paperwork, the company admin, and so on and so forth. But you do get paid more being a contractor. You also bear the risk of finding your own clients yourself if you're a contractor. In addition to being a contractor, you can also do what my friend Mara does as a solopreneur. She started her own consultancy and she's the only employee. She makes trainings and put them online. People sign up to those trainings and ask her questions. She can also do consultancy work for companies around the world. So she has multiple streams of income. And she's location free. So she's currently in Southeast Asia. She's coming back to Europe for a bit and she might go elsewhere afterwards. So as an entrepreneur, you get a lot more freedom and a lot more sense of ownership, but you also bear the risk of your own financial responsibility. You have to find your own users, find your own clients. But if that lifestyle is for you, you can try to make it work. I always say if it doesn't work, you can always find a job afterwards. The next route is to start your own consultancy, but make it bigger. So you can start your own boutique consultancy and hire people and basically run your own consultancy. At this point, you're not selling your time for money. You are running a business and you are responsible for finding a pipeline of projects and keep the people on the payroll and keep the company going. I have made an interview with Advanced Analytics CEO Terry McCann. I will link that on the top right if you're interested in find out more about running your own consultancy. The next route is to going back to industry. So typically, if you've been L6 senior solution architect with a very good vendor, you go back to the industry. Typically, you're either at head of data level or principal kind of data engineer or data scientist level. If that's something you want to do, if you are somebody that miss doing real projects, seeing effects of what you've done longer term rather than just doing the pre-sales or being project bound. You want to go back to industry and see how things work out in the longer term, then going back to the industry will potentially be an option for you. And the next is basically doing something completely different. I had a friend who left the data world and did something entirely different. These are all valid options for potentially different people in their different career stages or aspirations or expertise or purpose. Where you should be going, depending on your personal circumstances, will depend on a set of questions that you should be asking yourself. And in the next video, we'll talk about those set of questions and how to decide between these potential exit routes of a solution architect and how you know which exit is right for you. Stay tuned. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching Data Leaps. If you think the content is useful, please like and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it.